What's up everybody, this is Mike and I'm back again with a brand new video. Today we are going to talk about the Freewell ND filters for the DJI Mavic 2 Pro and how to use them to capture some stunning long exposure photos during the day. If you're familiar with my channel, you've seen similar videos with other drones, so of course I have to make one for the Mavic 2 as well, as it's my go-to drone. So when Freewell asked me if I want to test their filters for long exposure photos for the Mavic 2 Pro, of course I had to say yes. So now I have a box here with 4 different filters. Those are the ND128, ND256, ND400 and ND1000. On top of that, I also have this special package with the ND2000. And since the weather is very sunny, today is perfect for just taking a long walk on the beach. But since the weather is that sunny, I will be using the darkest glass possible, meaning this little thing here, because I just want to expose the shot properly and I want to do it the right way with the darkest glass possible. So when I use this ND2000, I will be able to use my aperture of 2.8 and hopefully I will be able to set the shutter speed at about 2 or 3 seconds. The ideal time is about 1 to 2 seconds, but sometimes it's great to play with a longer shutter speed. You can achieve some great results, and I'll be testing that. And basically in today's video you will see what's going through my head when I try to take those shots. I think it will be interesting for you guys to see what settings I use, how I change them, how I achieve those shots, and in the end I will show you the non-edited versions of those photos and then the ones that I have decided to edit and post on my Instagram or just here in this video, and you will see the difference some editing makes to those photos. One thing I have to say that I don't really like about the ND filters from Freewell is the way they are put in their box. They have a little cutout for the legs of the filters and they're supposed to be sitting there with no problem, but I found myself always hearing some noises from the box, and when I open the box the filters are all over the place. They are sliding left and right and they do not sit that well in the box, so keep that in mind. In the end it only matters what the quality is. So let's see what the quality is. I will put my ND2000 filter on the drone and I'll get it in the air. Okay, the drone is in the air. I just started recording my screen and my settings are a shutter speed of 1/400 and aperture of 2.8. So of course I don't see anything right now because the glass is so dark. So of course I have to change the shutter speed to something longer, and now we start seeing some results. If I change it to a shutter speed of 1 second, we actually see a lot more details. So a shutter speed of 1 second with an aperture of 2.8 gives me a exposure of +3. So of course I have to change the aperture to something smaller. 5.6 seems okay. So now I'll just go further towards the pier here, and unfortunately there aren't that many waves today. So of course the effect of the long exposure photography is always the strongest when you have some waves, some movement in the frame. So I will just take a picture of the coastline where we can see the waves. I will go a bit higher and just rotate the gimbal all the way down for my favorite bird's eye view shot. And now we can actually see that this aperture that we are using is not okay, so we'll be able to go back to f2.8, I'm sure. Yes, we are just a bit overexposed, but I don't think that's a problem. So now if I go ahead and focus, I can take a shot, and I'll just take a couple because as we all know, in long exposure photography, you don't really know how the results are going to look like, so you'll have to take a couple of photos to make sure you'll end up with a nice one in the end. I'll actually go a bit higher so I can capture those rocks as well and just position myself a bit differently. I think I will use something like this and go even higher, and yeah, put that in the middle, and then I can just focus and take this shot. I'm actually happy with the composition. I can probably take a couple more shots like this and then just stitch them together in Lightroom as a small vertical panorama, for example. I think it makes for a nice photo in the end. And as you can see, I am perfectly exposed right now with this shutter speed of 1 second, ISO 100, f2.8, the aperture, and I'm getting a bit more overexposed as I'm going up towards where the light is coming from, so I will keep it down. I don't really want to keep looking at the sun, but let's focus on some waves. I think those waves, especially if you go a bit lower, the effect is a bit stronger because you see more of the waves, more of the water moving. So I will go just about maybe 50 meters. I think this looks good, and then I'll just go back a bit so I can capture some of the sand and then some of the waves. I will wait until this wave goes by and capture the next one. And what I really like is the fact that when you have a variable aperture, you can adjust the shutter to maybe 2 seconds and then adjust the aperture to, let's say, 5. And now you can have a longer shot for 2 seconds. So you will capture more of the movement of the waves. I'll go just a bit further back and try again. The key here is to keep trying, keep taking photos, because you never know. You might have a winner on your first one, you might have a winner on your 101st one. So just keep taking photos. And one thing you can do, of course, is to select the play button and just see what the images look like. As you can see, we have some movement here in the waves, and I really cannot wait to edit those photos because I already know they are going to be good, especially this one here. I like the movement, and long exposure photography is really capturing the right moment, I think. So it's really a matter of luck as well. And of course, if you have more waves in the sea, you will have a lot more movement, and that would make for a better image overall. But I have to work with what I have, so I'm still quite happy with what I'm capturing right now. I will go back to a wider aperture and then maybe select 1.3 seconds. Even if it's a bit overexposed, it's still fine. And I think I have enough photos from this angle, so let's just go further away and capture some of the rocks as well. If I go towards the end of the pier here and just go back, as you can see, we don't have any waves here, so it's really no point of taking long exposure photo here because there is no movement at all. But if we had some waves here, I will post a couple of photos right now on the screen, because a couple of days ago when I first tested those filters, I was able to capture some movement near a similar pier like this with some waves near the rocks, and I really like the result. Yeah, so I decided to just go back to where the rocks are keep it very low, about 25 meters maybe. Just go near the rocks so I can also capture them. And then just position the camera differently. It takes a while to set it up the right way, but I find this to be a fun thing to do, to just experiment and see what you're going to like or not. So now I'm trying to position the shot, and I'm actually going to try and go for 1.6 or 2 seconds. Yeah, 2 seconds with an aperture of 4.5. I'll wait a bit until we have some waves, and then I'll just give it a try a couple of times. Don't worry if the image looks very soft. I find it to be normal. Every time I go for a longer shutter speed, anything over 1.5 seconds, the screen gets really a bit blurry, I would say, very soft, and it almost looks like the image is going to be terrible in terms of quality, but it's actually quite normal once you see it on your computer. So don't get that discourage you, don't worry about that. I will show you what I mean. If I go for 4 seconds shutter speed and the aperture of 5.6, you see what the screen looks like. It's very soft and almost looks like a very old camera. But don't worry about that. Let's just see what the result is going to be. I am taking a photo now, and we'll see. So 4 seconds shutter, f5.6. Everything is exposed properly, and I'm just taking a couple of photos. And I think this explains how I do things. As you can see, it's not a big deal. It's not something that only a few people can do. It's very easy to do. Everyone can do it. It's a matter of giving a try and just testing out different things. And I think those long exposure photos are very different from what we normally see. They are a lot more impactful, I would say. They're not for everyone. I mean, not everyone likes them, but personally, I really love the results of long exposure photography during the day. I really want to capture a waterfall, for example, because it looks gorgeous. Unfortunately, we don't have a waterfall nearby, so I'll have to think about places where I can travel to and just give it a go. But for now, I'll have to settle with the sea here. Now I'm going to show you how the photos look like without any editing, coming straight from the drone, and then I will compare them with the photos that I have edited and the ones that are probably going to be posted on my Instagram, as I really love doing that. Most of the photos will be edited with my Lightroom presets, which are basically some filters that I apply on my photos straight away, and then of course we have to tweak them a bit more, but those presets of mine are now on sale, and I love using them for shots like this, shots of the sea, the waves. They're very effective, and I love doing that. I love using them. That's why I made them. You can check them out in the description. They will be linked right there. But that's basically it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be sure to reply as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is Mike from Drone Supremacy. I'll catch you in my next one. Ciao.